Welcome back to another episode of the Boat Boss. My name is Kim Sweers and I am the host of Boat Boss, and I am beyond excited to be shooting out of the office, out of the studio, on location at MarineMax worldwide headquarters here in Clearwater, Florida. And it is my absolute pleasure to welcome Chuck Cashman, Chief Revenue Officer. Welcome to the Boat Boss.
Thank you so much. I'm equally excited to be here. I'm a big fan and
Thank you.
excited to have a quick talk.
Well, cool. Well, my nickname is Cash. Back at my home base, I run operations, but you have a super cool title.
I do. I have the right name for the title.
You do.
My son is Cash.
Right. Oh, really? So what does Chief Revenue Officer do for MarineMax?
So Chief Revenue Officer, I think, first of all, it's a new title that's been emerging throughout the world in some public companies. And really I focus on all things revenue. As my history with the company, I started in 1992 selling boats for Bill McGill's original store. Bill's our CEO, or our former CEO and founder, chairman of the board now. His son Brett has taken over as CEO. And so Bill hired me to sell boats, and my career was centered around sales, although operationally I developed through our company and had many other roles. But I think my DNA is boat sales, and I think as I've progressed through the company, that there was a moment where they were trying to figure out what to do with me, and it was I think it became clear. Brett had the vision to make it Chief Revenue Officer. I had to digest that because that's kind of a new title, and I was always kind of operationally driven, and Chief Revenue Officer came around, and it's been a blast. It's been fun. I try to figure out revenue streams to help our company grow, and we have. We'll be over $2 billion this year, I believe.
Fantastic.
And
well, let's take us back to 1998. We had a meeting, and you shared with me the rich history of MarineMax prior to 1998. And I don't think a lot of my audience and a lot of the public knows the history before all this. How did this morph into what it is today?
Yeah, our story, look, we think it's very interesting because it's so personal to us. So many of us love the company, and but the perception in the industry, there's a lot of different vantage points where people perceive us, and it is always a pleasure to tell the story. So 1998, we formed MarineMax with essentially 5 very tenured, successful dealerships. Predominantly all Sea Ray, very few other brands that were in common, but we were really Sea Ray dealers, and that's what MarineMax, I think, was viewed in 1998. Oh, those are the Sea Ray guys, right? I've heard that more than I could ever tell you, and that at time and place it was awesome, but that's I think honestly without the Sea Ray brand we probably couldn't have formed. It was a big enough brand at the time. There was enough continuity between all 5 stores. There was a legitimate synergy between inventory and products and all the things that we could do. So we started with that. We, the 5 dealerships formed, and then our plan was to grow through acquisition. And always top performing dealers, always kind of best in class. We really did, we weren't the one that we didn't go out looking for turnarounds, even though we probably could turn companies around. That wasn't our goal, and it still isn't today. We really do look for healthy businesses and ones that we can add value to, but ones that hit the ground running.
Absolutely.
And that's been phenomenal.
It's just amazing your success, but take us back to that meeting with the 5 dealers. What was it like? What did you say to each other?
So, my vantage point was a little different. I was running our Clearwater store, which was at the time one of the biggest stores. It was the biggest store in our company for sure, one of the biggest stores in the country. So, I had my head down as a general manager of that store, but I've always been blessed to at least feel like I had a voice in the company's future and the company's growth, and it's panned out that way for sure. But at that time, I would equate it to, and I've said this story before, 5 racehorses that run different directions, but they all win.
Right.
So you get 5 iconic leaders, and really you could probably boil it down to 3. A couple of them are looking for more of an extra strategy, but certainly there was a couple that I do it this way and I'm very successful. And the other one would say, you know what, I do it this way and I'm very successful. So, one's running counterclockwise, one's running clockwise, and we're trying to all get on the same page. And we've made a ton of mistakes. There's no question. when we formed, we really did try to become one size fits all. And there was a benefit to doing that, and there was a detriment to doing that. At the time, we thought the benefit outweighed the detriment. So we tried to order, I think at the time it was probably, let's call 5,000 boats. We're ordering 5,000 boats all the same way. Well, the people in the north are like, you know what, I don't need air conditioning in my boat. And the people in the south are like, I don't know how you live without air conditioning, right? So there was just a lot of, I wouldn't call it drama, but they say this, the development of a team, you have forming and storming and norming, and we were storming. I mean, there was no question. Everybody was trying to figure out their role, and but the common thing though, everybody cared.
Yeah.
Right. Everybody cared. A lot of passion. I mean, all of those former founders, you would love to have dinner with. You'd hear the stories.
I would love to. Yeah.
It's just they're icons in the industry, and I learned something from every single one of them. Right. Some of the how to and some of the how not to.
Right, of course.
And both lessons are equally important.
So take us to MarineMax today. Where are you now? How many states, how many locations?
So it's a moving target. Sometimes I'm embarrassed to say I don't know, because sometimes we'll open a quick seasonal location, but I'm going to say 78 locations in the United States and about 100 total worldwide. So Fraser, Northrop & Johnson have a great worldwide presence. They've taken us more global. We have a presence in the BVIs with our charter company, a presence in the Bahamas. So we're about 100 locations around the world. But our core business, MarineMax, our essence, although we are growing and diversifying from it, we're an American boat dealer.
Right.
So 78 locations. Oh yeah. But it's and we like that. But it's what we really want to be. We want to be the best local dealer. And then you add up all those parts, and you're the biggest national dealer. We don't wake up in the morning and say, we want to be bigger than everybody else. Our goal every single day is to be the best dealer in every community that we're in.
Delivering amazing customer experience. So take us back to 2020.
Yeah.
You were starting that quarter. You were on fire.
Yes.
And then we go into this room that we're sitting in, which you call the helm.
Yeah.
Take us back to that meeting where it's you, Brett, Mike.
So there was four of us. It was Brett McGill, our current CEO, tenured, veteran, visionary. Mike McLean, the only CFO that we've ever had as a company, right? Which is very rare in a public company, 23 years into it. Phenomenal resource. Kyle Langman is the president of retail operations. He runs all of our stores. He's been in the business a long time, and myself. And actually, we weren't in here because we were in Brett's office.
Got it.
And we had just got a mandate. I think we had to close.
It was like March.
70%.
March 2020.
Yeah. Oh, it was March for sure. Mid-March. We'll just say mid-March for easy conversation. So we had a record October, going back to 19, a record November, a record December, a record January. We are like, this is awesome, right? All of our initiatives are doing everything we're supposed to be doing. There's always maintenance. There's always things that you realize that you're not doing well, and we're always trying to improve. But we didn't have a lot on our plate from disaster relief, and then February was a little off. And if it wasn't February, it was January. But I mean, it was 4 out of 5 months so far were record months, all-time record months. So it was great. But we knew COVID, and
so COVID
we have manufacturing in China, and they were giving us. We were getting some intel out of China that just said, "Hey, it's not good."
Wow.
And then I had done a trip to Italy to visit some of our manufacturers, and going through the airport, I noticed I think it was Milan, whatever airport it was. Everybody's in masks. And I'm like, wow, this is odd, right? You're used to seeing some people in masks, but it's a lot of people in masks. And I came back and I'm like, man, this is spooky.
Yeah.
We went to the Miami Boat Show, had a reasonably good show. There was some conversation about it. Now fast forward middle of March, 75% of our stores are mandated, you've got to close. And we're trying to massage it. We're talking on a daily basis. Well, now we've got to close. We had to close New York. We had to close Boston, some of the Florida stores. Once the Florida stores started getting shut down, we knew we had our hands full.
Yeah.
So we got in a room and we said, all right, how long can we run
Sustain
this
ourselves.
company, sustain ourselves, if we don't sell a boat, not one boat? And, hats off to Mike, who got us through the Great Recession. Mike McLam, phenomenal CFO. He goes, we're okay. We've got cash. We're a very conservative company. We don't have a lot of debt. He goes, we've got, I don't know if it was a year, but it was long enough for a mindset then. But it was harrowing for 2-3 weeks.
Right.
And, we're battling at the stores, and our stores are gritty. They just weren't, and we use that word a lot during the early stages of the pandemic. Grit, right?
Yeah.
You just gotta grit through
Absolutely.
it. And
then America seemed to fall in love with boating because of why? What
well,
happened
I'll
after
tell
that?
you. So and just kind of finishing our thought, we started getting trend data. We have a great data. Our marketing company, our analytics is, I think it's cutting edge, probably best in class right now. We start seeing upward trends, even though our stores are closed. Or like our online traffic is up, our 3-day online traffic is up, our rolling 7. I mean, all these metrics started going up, and we called all our manufacturers in March and said, stop everything. Which, that's a bad call, right? When you get a MarineMax that says stop everything, they're like, hey, we're not seeing this. We're like, trust me, we're seeing it. And a couple weeks later, they're like, oh yeah, now we get it. But sometimes we're the canary in the coal mine because of our analytics.
Right.
Well, then we started seeing good analytics. And we didn't understand it yet, but we're seeing, okay, now leads are going up, interest is going up, online activity is going up. We're not necessarily monetizing it because our stores are closed, but now we're starting to, I don't want to,
uptick.
online say we were sneaking in our stores, but we were doing everything legal, but somehow we were getting in our stores and starting to do business, taking boats to customers' house, all that. So then it turned, right? It turned, and so then we're like, well, why did it turn? And I've said forever, I literally believe that boating is the best family recreation that you can ever have in the world, and it just gets competed with by resorts, by golf, by all these things, travel, all of which are wonderful. But when you take all that away, it just, to me, put a spotlight on boating that just regenerated interest that's a once-in-a-generation type event. And that's what we saw. Boating is wonderful.
boating,
I know
that's
boating
right.
is wonderful.
It was a great way to get outside.
It really
to have that
was.
freedom from COVID, which was great.
It's your oasis. You're socially distanced, but you were in the best environment in the world.
So during COVID, you did the unorthodox. You actually acquired companies. You went out there and bought some pretty, that's that aha moment where you're like, you wake up and you're like, why would they buy cruisers? What was the reasoning for cruisers during the middle of the pandemic?
Well, cruisers really came to us from another acquisition that was in the works prior to COVID. So some of these acquisitions, they don't happen overnight. We get to know the company. We want the company. As important to us getting to know them, we want them to get to know us.
Absolutely.
Because if there's not a fit, there's no sense.
Sure.
There's no sense going down that path, right? It just doesn't work. So we were in the courting stage with some of these companies prior to COVID. Some of the discussions were further along, some of them weren't, but as we were going through that, we acquired Skipper Buds.
Right.
In Skipper Buds, they brought us cruisers. We had never been a cruiser dealer. None of our dealerships have ever been a cruiser dealer. Obviously aware of the brand,
Sure.
but admire the brand. But we never were cruiser dealers. So we, when we acquire a company, and let's say they have 10 different brands, well, we got to get to know 10 different brands. As we're getting to know cruisers, we're like, wow, we like this. And we had plenty of white space. So, go back a little bit, Sea Ray exits the market.
Right, the 60
we were,
plus, right?
Well, 40 and up, quite honestly. And
So this filled that void.
it's a huge void for MarineMax, right?
Yeah.
So we have, part of my job is to make sure our brand portfolio is clearly defined, right? You don't need overlapping brands. You don't need cruisers and Sea Rays over the top of each other, right? Well, Sea Ray's gone. So that piece of our pie, an American sport yacht, was totally empty. So then we start talking to cruisers about, really at this time, only becoming a dealer. Well, in that, they said, you know what, we're going to sell. And we thought to ourselves, wow, that's the timing is crazy because we're about to we're about to order a lot of boats. We're about to invest heavily into, when we invest in a brand, we look for a brand for the rest of my career, right? Life.
Long term.
We don't want to turn brands over. So sometimes you don't know who the next owner is going to be, and we just started having, kind of organic. We didn't have this desire that let's go find a brand. It was, here's a brand. We've got to know them. We like them. They fit right in our portfolio perfectly. Let's explore that. Well, then they say they're going to sell, and we thought maybe this is the moment that we try to control our own destiny a little bit.
That's right.
It's caused some ripples, but what I would tell every manufacturer, we love the brands that we carry. I'll take everything they can build right now and more. We're going to sell 8,000 boats or so this year. They're going to build 100. So it's not, it's not the end is near, MarineMax is going to start vertically integrating. That's not the case at all. It really is, how do we grow revenue? How do we grow maybe without selling another boat through our stores? Because you can only put, those 78 stores right now are doing everything they can. We can always sell one more boat, but there has to be a way to grow within the industry without selling one more boat through our footprint. And that's where Cruisers is. We looked at some of the dealers. We had Cruisers, quite honestly, do it. Not when I say we, it's really Cruisers. Their team looked at the dealers and said, these are our top dealers. We didn't touch them. Some of those markets kept them all as is. We would love some of those markets, selfishly, but then you're not being a good steward of the brand.
And they're already doing well.
So how would no dealer? I have empathy to that. It's I'm a dealer. I don't want to get canceled for for no reason.
Sure.
So markets that had opportunity, empty markets we took. Markets that had opportunity, we either said, hey, you're gonna have to pick it up, or we just said, look, it's been long enough. We're gonna go in and be that. And then the good ones, we left them alone and said, let us know how we can help you.
That's great.
And so far.
So this wall talks so much about your history, And when we were here last time, you explained to me what this wall is, and this is really all the acquisitions that you've had over the years.
It is.
And then you grew globally by the acquisition of Fraser and Northrop & Johnson.
That's right.
Why those two brands?
Well, let's start in sequence. So Fraser came about. It was owned by Azimut Benetti, Paolo Vitelli, who's a long beloved partner of ours, right? We're the Azimut dealer for the U.S. We were in conversations about how do we sell more Benettis. Fraser was kind of on the side over there, and we had looked through the years at companies like that. We had actually looked at Fraser twice, and we just never could get everything aligned. In this case, really what's happened is MarineMax has grown from the original 23 stores that were primarily Sea Ray dealers to being more successful with Azimut, more successful with Ocean Alexander. We were getting clients that would get to about 100, 120 feet and say, look, we love you guys, but you guys aren't the big boat guys. And we couldn't scale with our clients. Great way to put it. And you want to talk about a bad day is we have lifelong relationships with our clients. I've grown up. I've seen now clients that I sold almost 30 years ago. Their kids are buying boats. And we have long-term relationships with our clients. Well, as they get to the upper end, they just leave us. Well, that doesn't work, right? That doesn't work. And it's far more than the money. It's a relationship. It's just, we were tired of it. And we had worked a little bit to see if we could grow the charter and the yacht management side, but it was very difficult to grow that organically. You're up against powerhouses like Fraser and N&J. You just can't do it. So we came to terms with Fraser. It was awesome. They're phenomenal people. We're learning, right? We know boat sales, but we're learning about the super yacht business. Right after that, N&J approached us. And really our first conversation with them is, listen, your timing is terrible. We just bought Fraser. We're not looking to go acquire everybody there. We're going to learn, and we'll call you in a year. But they were persistent, and we knew one of the guys was a former MarineMax employee that was there, and we had a meeting in this room, and we fell in love with them. Their leadership is phenomenal. It was the people more than the business.
Right.
Their business is fantastic, but it's the people. We walked away saying, man, we want those guys on our team, right? Daniel Ziriakis that runs it is a phenomenal leader. He's young, he's vibrant, future of the business type of guy, and that was it. We just, we kind of fell in love with the people as much as the business.
Great.
Now the business is solid, but it's we thought our team was better with them.
So now the sky's the limit with clients. You can take them as high as large
Take them as high as you
go.
want to go. Yeah,
Good
it's
for you.
phenomenal. It's phenomenal.
So what does the future look like for MarineMax, if you could say? What does it look like?
The future's going to look, it won't be that much different than the trend that we're on. We are actively looking at acquisitions for sure, both healthy dealership type acquisitions and others. We want to grow within the industry for sure, right? I mean, that's our job, right? We're owned by shareholders, and shareholders want to see growth, and we're at a point right now where COVID has been very good to us we have a lot of cash, we have very little debt, which creates wonderful opportunities. And if you think about if you were ever going to sell your business, generally people in the marine industry right now are doing very well. So if you want to get a multiple of a year, this would be a good year to sell. And look, what we don't want is, here we're going to buy your business and you're going to sail off in the sunset. We just don't do that very often.
It's buy-in. That's a great idea.
We really
Great
want
concept.
people that are going to add to our team, to grow our team, to give us greater capabilities. One of the things that Bill did when he formed MarineMax, and it was true, and sometimes it's hard to even believe it, but it is so true. He goes, I just want to do this to give the people, the team, opportunities. And I mean, I'm the poster child for that, right? Where I've been able to rise through the company, and it's just phenomenal. But I'm not. It's just not my story. There's hundreds of people that have roles that are probably beyond anything they ever thought they would be in when they started in the business at whatever level they started. It's given us phenomenal opportunities. So, what's the future look like? We're going to grow. We're going to run our business as well as we can and try to improve everywhere we can, because that's part of it. Sometimes you look at that, you can grow your business more just by improving than you can by acquiring. So we'll always have this focus on just do the best we can, take care of our customer, take care of our team, do the best job you can, and we're going to look to grow.
Yeah,
whether
people,
it's
process, and product, right?
Yep.
That's what they say.
We have, we're learning, and I've always said we're quick learners. We're learning the super yacht side of it, right? Super yacht services. So there's interest within the super yacht services. Maybe not more brokerage companies to say, I don't want to own all the brokerage companies, but there's a lot of yacht management opportunities. There's other opportunities there, charter companies. There's plenty. Technology, where I really want to be the leading edge, the absolute leader of technology in the industry, and I think we can do that. There's some synergies there. We're working on that with Fraser and Jay right now, and just continue to grow. Keep taking care of our customers, keep taking care of our team, and everything takes care of itself.
That's true. All right, now the challenging question. What keeps you up at night as a Chief Revenue Officer?
Funny enough, what keeps me up at night, and you and I have talked about this, is our industry has had the most amazing uplift in my career, right? 30 years of doing this. Let's just pick a number. 25% more boats sold last year than the year before. We were not able to grow our service department by 25%.
If anything, it went the other direction.
If anything, we have so many initiatives to grow service, to grow technicians, and at best, we kind of hold serve. We're like, we got 10 new techs in, but 6 retired and 2 went somewhere else. And I would take 100 technicians today if I could, right?
So what advice would you give to someone that's watching as a parent or a relative of a child that wants to maybe have a career in the marine industry? What would you say to them?
Well, what I would say on that is there's been a migration away from the trades, and I get that, right? I get that. I think every parent says, I want my son to grow up and go to college and get an education. But when you really kind of peel that onion back, what you want is for them to have a great career, stable income, and opportunity.
Sure.
That doesn't always come with a 4-year college degree, going into a pool of people in some department of some company with very little upside and very little income growth. What I see, what I've learned is our technicians can make well into six figures. They can go anywhere and work. I mean, anywhere, right? I know you would
Yes,
hire.
absolutely. We hire, yeah.
All of our 78 locations would take a technician today if they were skilled, and they could almost call their own pay, and the pay is escalated and will continue to grow because there's pressure on that. There's not pressure on people with a 4-year degree in business administration. There's pressure on people that are master technicians with Mercury, and where maybe it was viewed as a dead-end job, but dead end is a relative term because you could do it for 30 years. But beyond, you want to be a tech for 20 years, and then you want to become a service manager. We've had service managers that are now general managers.
Wow.
Right?
That's
And
great.
that opportunity exists. So it's
It's a great pathway.
oh, and I didn't recognize it way back when, but the trades, it's a far more noble business than it gets credit for, and the income is real, and I think you can get ahead of the normal income stream far faster than you could maybe with a 4-year degree getting into a pool of, low middle level managers.
Well, that's some good advice. So I appreciate you talking about that. Let's talk about some fun stuff. What do you do when you're not doing all this?
I am a passionate boater.
Good for you.
Yeah, I really do. My family, it's our life. It really is. We're so blessed that we're in an area that has great boating. I'm blessed that I have a grown son, a young daughter. They both love boating. I call my son any day and say, "We're going boating," and he goes, "I'm there." And that's the, I've always said through the years, it's a boat is a magnet for your family. Well, my son's 26 now, and he still wants to spend weekends on the boat.
That's
so
great. It says a lot about you.
well,
Son wants to hang out with you.
no doubt. Well, who doesn't want to sit on the back of a boat wherever you are in paradise,
Of course.
right? Flipping some burgers. And
What's your favorite restaurant, waterfront? Give them a shout out.
I will. Blue Moon Fish Company in Pompano, Florida. It is absolutely my favorite. Used to be Houston's, but they don't let us dock
Sure.
there anymore.
Right, I know.
And those two are near and dear to my heart. And then really now what's become my favorite is my own boat.
That's right.
I make sure I have plenty of cooking surfaces, and I'll do a mean burger on the
Right.
boat.
So we're in what do they call it? Champa instead of Tampa?
Tampa Bay,
so
that's
what's your
right.
favorite? Is it the Bucks? Is it the Lightning, the Crew? What's your favorite sports team?
So I love them both. I've been a 20-year season ticket holder for the Bucks, and have loved
for you.
that. And I actually gave up my season tickets a couple of years ago because it was cutting into my boating time. But now I make sure I've got a TV on the boat, and we
There you
watch
go.
the games on the water, and we'll still go to some. Lightning's exciting because you can go at night during the week.
Okay, good.
So I like both.
Well, good. Well, thanks for your time, Chuck. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you about all things MarineMax, getting into your history, where you are now, in the future, and I can't thank you enough. Wish you all the best.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate
All right, well, we're going
you.
to get this guy back to work because he is the Chief Cash Officer, the Chief Revenue Officer of MarineMax. Thanks again for your time, and as I say, whether you live, work, or play on the water, just get on the water because there's nothing better than a lifestyle on the water. Signing off for another episode of Boat Boss. We'll catch you soon.